Here's the finished script, 921 words. Warner Bros. Buried a finished Batgirl movie that would have changed everything, and the reason they killed it is something they never wanted you to know. This wasn't a script sitting in a drawer. This wasn't a rumor floating around a message board. Batgirl was shot. It was edited. It was scored. Michael Keaton had already put the cowl back on, and then, without warning, Warner Bros. Discovery made it disappear completely. You're about to hear how a $100 million movie vanished overnight. But the real story isn't about a bad test screening, whatever you've been told. It's about a merger, a tax code, and one executive who needed a number on a spreadsheet more than he needed a movie. That number is where this actually ends. It started in 2021. HBO Max needed original films to justify its subscription price, and DC had a plan to build its street-level heroes there instead of gambling on theaters still recovering from the pandemic. Leslie Grace, a singer and actress with genuine star presence, was cast as Barbara Gordon. Directors Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, fresh off Bad Boys for Life, signed on to bring the kind of kinetic, R-rated energy nobody expected from a streaming superhero picture. Then came the move nobody saw coming. Michael Keaton, Batman himself from 1989, agreed to return, tying Batgirl directly into the multiverse plans Warner Bros. Was building around The Flash and its own crumbling timeline of alternate universes. This wasn't a side project quietly filling out a streaming catalog. This was connective tissue for the entire future of the DC universe, and everyone at Warner Bros. Knew it at the time. By spring 2022, Batgirl wasn't a plan anymore. It was a product. Filming wrapped in March. The budget landed between $70 and $90 million, funded specifically as an HBO Max exclusive under the previous Warner Media regime. J.K. Simmons returned as Commissioner Gordon. Test audiences saw cuts of the film that summer. Editors were deep in post-production, locking effects shots, finishing the score. Trade outlets reported a planned late 2022 release. Everyone involved, from the cast to the crew to the marketing teams quietly building a campaign, believed they had a finished film heading toward an audience, because they did. Then on August 2, 2022, Warner Bros. Discovery announced Batgirl would not be released at all, not delayed, not sent to theaters instead. Erased with no plan to ever show it to anyone. Here's the part they buried. In April 2022, Discovery completed its merger with Warner Media, and new CEO David Zaslav inherited nearly $50 billion in debt from the deal. Almost immediately, his team went looking for assets they could legally write off rather than release, because under U.S. tax law, a studio can claim an impairment loss on a completed but unreleased film, and in certain cases that write-off is worth more on paper as a cancellation than the film would ever earn as a finished product nobody was contractually required to sell theatrically. Batgirl, built specifically for a streaming platform Zaslav was actively de-emphasizing in favor of theatrical revenue, was the perfect candidate. It wasn't about quality, whatever the official excuses implied. Multiple people who watched test cuts described it as competent, even genuinely fun. It was about accounting. Killing Batgirl and the animated film Scoob, Holiday Haunt in the same sweep reportedly saved Warner Bros. Discovery somewhere around $90 million in tax benefits, while also sending a message to Wall Street that the new leadership was serious about slashing costs after the merger closed. But there was a second motive, quieter than the spreadsheet, and this is the part almost nobody connects. Zaslav's new team, alongside incoming DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran, wanted a completely clean reset for the entire DC universe. No leftover HBO Max experiments cluttering the canon before their new 10-year plan launched in 2023. Batgirl, tied directly to Keaton's Batman and to the multiverse reveal at the end of The Flash, was inconvenient continuity sitting right in the middle of a franchise they were about to rebuild from the ground up. Erasing it wasn't just profitable. It was cover for a much bigger creative demolition that was already quietly underway inside the studio. Think about what that erased. A Michael Keaton Batman, active again, mentoring a new Batgirl into the modern DC universe instead of vanishing after one cameo. A director duo proving streaming blockbusters could have genuine style, genuine edge, the kind DC rarely let itself attempt. An entire generation of viewers who never got to see Barbara Gordon's story finished, despite the fact that it already existed, complete, sitting on a hard drive somewhere in Burbank right now. Leslie Grace never got her theatrical moment, the one that could have made her a franchise lead for the next decade. The cast and crew, some of whom learned about the cancellation from the trade press before Warner Bros. Called them directly, Never got closure either, no premiere, no wrap party payoff, nothing to show for a year of work except a headline. So somewhere in a Warner Bros. Vault sits a completed superhero movie, fully paid for, that the public will likely never see, killed not because it failed, but because it succeeded at being worth more dead than alive. And if a finished film can vanish for a tax line, you have to wonder what else Warner Bros. Decided wasn't worth finishing at all.